When you hear so many different ideas about good health, how do you separate the myths from the facts? Welcome to Healthy View Radio with your trio of co-hosts, Andrea Beeman, Lisa Lutan, and Michelle Fennighaus. Today, you'll learn what it takes to be healthy and happy within a stressful world from three experts walking their talk. Here is Lisa, Andrea, and Michelle.
Hello and welcome to Healthy View Radio, where the energy is always good. And if it's not, we have some remedies for that, including today's topic of EFT tapping. I'm Michelle Fennighaus, and I'm here today with my co-host, Andrea Beeman, joining us all the way from New Mexico. The Northeast girls are on the other side of the country. And Lisa Lutan, who is not traveling this week.
Soon enough.
Soon enough. You guys are going to want to stick around to learn all about this technique called tapping. It's kind of quirky. It's also a very promising way of getting rid of anxiety, dealing with trauma, weight loss, much more. But I have to admit, I know very, very little about tapping, you guys. So would you say it's sort of like acupuncture or acupressure because it has to do with the body's meridians and energy?
Yeah, totally. I mean, if you think about it, when you're using acupuncture, you're putting needles into specific points in your body, and it's the same thing, only you're tapping on them. And the theory behind tapping is that everything is based on positive energy flow in your body. And when something negative happens, either an emotion or pain or trauma, it breaks the flow of energy. And what you're trying is to restore that natural energetic flow to the body. And it's super cool. I'm really into it.
I have had a couple of tapping sessions myself. I didn't know that was all going on while they were tapping on me, but but it did feel good. I had something called, it was like 5 years ago. It was like Body Talk, literally called Body Talk, and they tap on different parts of your body, and it was almost like an interesting type of massage.
Oh, but it's something that you do to yourself, usually. Is that right?
Well, usually when you're learning, somebody guides you through, or there are plenty of videos now on YouTube that you can learn it. And there's set points, and then you can learn to use it as a tool for yourself. And I do use it every day. Just like I practice meditating every day, I practice tapping every day so that when I really need it, I'm going to have it ready and available as a skill, as kind of like a tool in my toolbox.
That's interesting. I like the massage. I don't massage myself, right? So I prefer when somebody comes and massages. So the tapping, I mean, we'll have to hear what this fella has today to say. Fella, I'm such an old-fashioned kind of gal. This fella that's coming on today, we'll see what he has to say about tapping. But is it more effective if you do it yourself, or is it more effective if somebody does it for you? And what are the benefits of each? Like I said, I could certainly press my meridian points and give myself a massage, but when I'm doing that, I'm actually not in the most relaxed state. So when I'm having a massage done on me, I want to be completely relaxed because I want them to get in and I want them to do their stuff while my body's in that parasympathetic nervous system.
So let me explain. I'll tell you a story that happened to me that really impacted me and my desire to teach others tapping. I had been learning it myself and was doing it. And I was at an event somewhere and I found oh my God, I'm feeling really nervous. All this stuff is coming up. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to tap. And so I'm sitting in the little coffee shop at this place and I start doing my little tapping. And a woman next to me says, "Are you tapping?" And I said, "Sure, you want to tap?" And she came over to me and she was feeling all anxious about leaving, and get all the logistics of her travel were taking away from her feeling present in this workshop she was in. And so I said, well, let me help you. And I started tapping with her. And the most incredible thing ever happened. I felt this shift in her energy, in her body. And I literally got that benefit too. I started feeling her energy and I'm like, damn, this is good stuff. Not only is this going to help me, but if I help others, I get the benefit of their energy. And I'm so curious if Reiki masters or other energy healers get this same little boost. We'll have to ask him today because it was super amazing for me.
Well, it's just channels, right? You're opening up channels of energy. So of course, If you're a vibration, you're going to pick it up. But when you were just talking about that, the scene in the diner or in the coffee shop, it reminded me of when Harry met Sally. And she's pretending to have an orgasm. She's pretending to have an orgasm there, and the people in the next table is like, "Oh my God, I'll have what she's having." So maybe that's part of the tapping experience, is that you have this great energy going on, and it vibrates outward, and everybody wants it.
It kind of does. It's like a really good quick mood fix. Like sometimes you're in a bad mood, like literally in a minute or two, like it can just shift you to you're giggling. It's like a little high.
The first time I ever saw anybody and I have to apologize because my alarm guys are going by with their blowers right now. So if you hear it, the first time I ever encountered tapping was when I was a student at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and we were sitting in Lincoln Center. This is also the first time I ever saw Andrea up on that stage. Think of it, but I was sitting in the audience, and the woman in front of me was tapping her head right here in the middle of her head over and over and over and over and over. And I'm like, all right, I know we got some earthy, crunchy people around here. There's something up with this. There's something that she knows that I don't know about. And she was just tap, 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 tapping the whole time. I have to say, do all the tapping you want, but when you're in some sort of performance or at a movie or looking at something on stage, the people behind you get a little distracted by that.
I guess so. You might want to go off in a little corner.
You didn't feel the surge, Michelle? What the heck is going on?
Yeah, I was just confused. I didn't know if she just had a really itchy scalp at first. I don't know what was happening, but I believe this is what she was doing. So it's the top of the head is a tapping point. Yes?
Yes, it is one of the tapping points. And one of the things that I've learned in my study of tapping is there's different schools of tapping, and everybody has their own little twist on it, and they change it up a little bit. The languaging is super important, and what's different about tapping than a lot of other type of energy or positive things that we do, most things focus on the positive. Tapping focuses on the negative, at least at first. And that's kind of a weird thing to get used to. So you're focusing on the negative emotion, you're focusing on the pain, you're focusing on all the bad stuff. And it's a pretty crazy experience. Hopefully he'll tap with us a little bit. But
wait, so do they focus on the negative to bring awareness to it so that you can shift it?
Yeah. So I can walk you through a real super, like a
quickie. Tap us.
Okay. Like, and now usually you do it with one person. You don't usually do it with a group. So let's think of something for our listeners. Like maybe they are really busy and stressed. Let's just say, for example, so you define the problem. This is your karate chop here. And this is where you're kind of starting to define the problem. And you might say something like, and the language in the beginning is a little bit corny, but you get used to it. So even though I'm so busy and stressed, I still love and respect myself. And some tappers will do this 3 times. Some will do it once, depending on the school of tapping. So even though I'm feeling so crazy, busy, stressed, I still love and respect myself. Even though I am so busy and stressed, I'm driving myself crazy, I still love and respect myself. And then you move to these points and we go to the top of the head and we just focus on the problem. So busy and crazy. And you tap about 7 times in each spot. And then the next one is right kind of at the top where your eyebrow starts. And if you hold a few fingers, you'll get both sides. So busy and crazy. Then we move to the side of the eye here, right there, that bone.
Oh, it's funny. These are all meridian points, all of them.
So crazy busy.
Wait, Lisa, both eyes or just one eye?
You only have to do one. You can do both, but you only have to do one.
I don't want to be asymmetrical.
The next spot is if you feel that bone under your eye there, that bone right under your eye, tap there. Yeah, and you keep saying the words, I'm so crazy busy. The next one is between the nose and the top of the lip in there. Okay, tapping.
Even A-Rod's tapping. He says,
yeah, A-Rod, are you tapping? Oh my God, I'm so crazy busy. It's driving me nuts. And usually you're not stopping. The next one's between the lip and the chin in here.
This is a sexual point.
Is it? Ooh, what is it? Ooh. Okay, the next one is on kind of, if you go down to the collarbone, you feel that little circle and there's a little point on each side. If you take your hand big again, you can reach both. Oh, I'm so stressed and busy. And then the next one is kind of if you go down right around where the bra strap is, right there. And here's the thing. So what happens normally when you start tapping is you see that you get into it, you feel the intensity of the whole thing, you rate it on a scale, and then you do a round and you rate it again, you do another round, you rate it again, and the languaging starts changing. And usually if you're somewhat intuitive, like we health coaches are naturally, when you're guiding with somebody through, we kind of take them on that journey, and then hopefully they're going to help us out with their languaging as well. And it brings up a lot of stuff. It brings up and releases a lot of stuff of what you're really feeling, and it starts diffusing the negativity super fast.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It's fascinating. Now, I haven't learned, I'm like in the studying phase, and I've done a lot with kind of quick, easy fixes. You can really get into releasing deep-seated trauma with this stuff, and I haven't learned that part yet, but
when I was studying shiatsu 20 years ago, we learned something called Do-in, which was a morning self-massage, and you literally tapped your entire body from top to bottom, opening up all your meridians. But the intention wasn't on negative. The intention was on gathering energy from the universe and from the earth beneath your feet, and then utilizing it to nourish your organs, the chi found in everything, right? So very interesting stuff.
So interesting. I just started studying Qigong, and it's a lot of that.
Oh, yeah, I love Qigong.
I'm so excited.
So I have a question about the negative, because just repeating over and over, I'm so stressed. Like you said, it feels a little counterintuitive for what you would want to be saying. But is it kind of like, if you're going to repeat something to yourself like that, you have to believe it. You can't be like, I'm the calmest person in the universe, when you're not, because it just won't take. You have to have you have to believe it. So is it kind of like that, where you start with the negative thought and slowly inch your way towards a small thing that you can believe, a bigger thing you can believe?
Yeah. So you really get yourself into that place where you're really feeling it in your body, like, where you really do some pre-work, and you're feeling it in your chest, you're feeling it in your stomach, you're really in that place of pain and sorrow and negativity. And you will feel that starting to lighten and diffuse. And so the thing that really varies that I've noticed of different people who are different tapping methods, some after a few rounds of negative go right into rounds of more positive. Some do it differently there, and we'll see what Dawson Church today does, because the Ortners have made tapping really popular out there, but there's all these different break-off schools that really have their own flavor.
Sure. I guess like anything else, meditation even, there's lots of different ways that people meditate.
Exactly. And, one day in one of my groups, we had some extra time. I'm like, who wants to tap? And 3 or 4 different people came up, all with different issues. And each one had some aha or breakthrough, or like just felt so much better about the situation, totally different. And it's just a really, like I said, it's another tool in the toolbox, and we can never have too many tools for dealing with life, right?
You know how smokers, when they try to stop smoking, they need something. I was just talking to a client the other day. She was talking about how she started knitting. She needed to keep her hands busy. What if tapping is the new smoking?
That would be
no,
great.
the new knitting.
Something for your hands to do, releasing tension. Everyone could be standing outside their offices on their lunch breaks, just tap, 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 tap.
And
Not a bad thing.
A foreigner would come by and say, wow, such a nervous society. Look at that.
But we are.
Yeah.
We really are. And I think also it brings you back to present. And anything that brings us back to present mode is like a really damn good thing for us.
Oh my gosh, everybody should be tapping on their heart in this modern world.
What was the sex one?
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about
prostate, uterus.
So you were talking about like the sex organs as opposed to sexual desire, or is it both?
No, this is in physiognomy. Remember we had that visual diagnosis? This is the area around the whole mouth that's, connected to your sex organs.
I see.
Yeah.
So this makes
erotica.
them
healthy? Say again?
This makes them healthy?
Well, I don't know about tapping on that, but you can see what's going on in it.
I would make sure you have clean hands, or you're going to end up with pimples, and that's just not good.
Tap yourself into acne.
Yeah. A hygiene note from Lisa.
Yes. Got to take care of the skin.
Well, I think it's time now for us to move into our Meet Your Meat segment of our show. So wash your hands.
Tap your meat before you eat it.
Tap your meat. The show is brought to you by Butcher Box, bringing thoughtfully sourced meat directly to your door. You can go to butcherbox.com/HVR to place your order and save $20. Plus, you'll get free bacon. And I don't know about you guys, but today is sunny. It's like the nicest day I've seen in a while. Didn't need the big winter coat. And with the warm weather approaching, I'm thinking about some nice grass-fed steak with an heirloom tomato salad and some fresh basil, maybe like corn on the cob, all the good stuff that comes with the warm weather, and sitting outside on my deck watching the sunset.
When are you inviting me and Lisa over for this meal?
You're
Really?
excited. I just got some outdoor furniture, so come on.
We're there. We are so there.
Now, typically, when we want steaks, we're thinking about the filet mignons and the ribeyes and a strip steak. But with grill season approaching, we asked Butcher Box what other cuts of meat they recommend. And they said some of our favorite steaks and roasts in general are chuck beef cuts, which really surprised me because I'm thinking chuck is for pot roast. Chuck is for stew. It's for braising. It's not for the steak that I have in mind on my plate here, So they said there are two types of steak to look for that actually come from the chuck part of the cow, but can be very tender and tasty and often more affordable. So you can look for the Denver steak and the flat iron steak. And with both of those, just be careful not to overcook them and always slice against the grain when you're serving. So there you go. Head on over to butcherbox.com/HVR to save $20 and get free bacon and order yourself some grass-fed and finished steaks and have it all delivered to your door. And in just a few moments, we will be back with our guest, Dawson Church, author of the best-selling books, The Genie in Your Genes and Mind to Matter. He studies evidence-based psychological and medical techniques and is the editor of Energy Psychology, Theory, Research, and Treatment, a peer-reviewed professional journal, and he's a blogger for the Huffington Post. He shares how to apply the breakthroughs of energy psychology to health and athletic performance through EFT Universe, one of the largest alternative medicine sites on the web. And Dawson will be telling us all about EFT tapping, so hang tight and we'll be back after the break. All right.
Do we have Dawson?
Dawson. Do we have Dawson on the line?
Dawson?
I'm right here.
Hello, welcome.
Wow, the three of you are so lively and fun.
So we are not on live radio right now, but we are Facebook streaming during our break. So you can give a big hello to our Facebook community.
Well, I love Facebook streaming. I do it many times a week, and it's always fun. And I love to see the comments coming through as people engage with whatever we're talking about. So that's great.
Yes, and we're hoping that everyone will ask their questions about EFT and about tapping because, hey, no better time to get these questions answered.
Have any of you tried it?
I tap every day.
Oh, cool. Good for you.
And I'm Lisa. I'm going to be interviewing you.
Okay. I'm just curious, Lisa, when do you tap?
I tap every morning, either just before or after I meditate.
Yeah, I do the same thing before I meditate, usually. Sometimes afterwards, but that just kind of clears the emotional energy to give you a great meditation. So, and it's a good start to the day as well. So good.
It's the best. Yeah. It's funny because sometimes I feel like if I tap first, whatever it is going to come out before the meditation. And sometimes the meditation brings something up that I need to tap on. So it's kind of a really cool little back and forth thing.
I'd also encourage you to experiment with the 9 gamma technique. Because that also helps.
Oops.
Prepare
Wait, we're going on.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Here we go.
You're listening to Andrea Beeman, Lisa Lutan, and Michelle Fennighaus with Healthy View Radio. Do you have a question or comment for the show? Please call us right now at 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. Or send us an email from our Voice America radio page. You'll find connections to reach any of the hosts there. Now, back to Healthy View Radio.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Lisa Lutan, and I would like to thank our sponsor, Squatty Potty. Last week, we were lucky enough to have the founder of Squatty Potty right here on the show, and it was such a treat because all of us are such huge fans. Yes, I have like 4 of them in my house. And there is even one in my CrossFit gym that I noticed, which was like super cool. They are just popping up everywhere. So if you're a person who's ever had issues with the C problem, that's constipation. I know people don't like to talk about it, but it is a big thing. You have to run out now and get a Squatty Potty because it will change your life forever. It just puts you in that natural position where your body wants to be when you're doing you know what. So if you go to squattypotty.com and hit /HVR like Healthy View Radio, you will get 10% off your Squatty Potty. Don't walk, run. Anyway.
Don't walk, squat.
Don't walk, squat. Oh, that's such a better one. Okay. Anyway, I am really super excited to introduce you to our guest today, Dr. Dawson Church. As I mentioned in the first segment, I do tapping every single day. I'm a huge fan of it. And so I'm really excited to learn from him more about the tapping method that he does on his EFT universe, which is one of the largest alternative medicine sites on the web. So Dawson, welcome to our show.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
So Dawson, we like to get to know our guests a little bit better before we delve into the topic. So I'd love to know, what did you have for breakfast today?
What a fun question, and one I have never been asked before in doing probably over 1,000 interviews.
Yay!
So I always start my day with tapping and meditation and then go on to do all my usual things like have breakfast. But I had a superfood smoothie, and I'm going to tell you, superfoods are so amazing. And if you're taking care of both your emotional and spiritual health, with meditation and tapping, and then also your physical health with superfoods and really high quality food, then you feel totally wonderful. So you're hitting both the physical and the emotional parts of your well-being.
Do you mind if I ask what was in the superfood smoothie?
You know, my wife makes these smoothies every day, and I think that a big ingredient is love.
Yeah.
And it comes out through her salads.
Good answer.
But she puts in about 20 different superfoods. So these are a lot of different superfoods in there. And you have to get the proportions right, because if you put in too much maca, for example, you really overwhelm your system. And so superfoods are good, but like anything else, you have to get the proportions right in moderation. So maybe I'll give you guys a link later on where people can actually download her superfood smoothie recipe.
We would love that. We'll post it on our page at healthyviewradio.com. And so, Dawson, what is your guilty pleasure?
Oh, no, you asked me all kinds of questions, Dad.
Just warming you up.
Totally, I'm prepared for this. Is so fun. Well, you know, I sneak away usually once or twice a month, and I spend time completely alone. I go out to the beach, and I walk on the beach, and I just sometimes I talk to myself out loud. So there I am, looking like this, crazy mad scientist, walking up and down the beach, talking aloud to myself. And I do look around to make sure no one else can see me, because I don't want to embarrass the strangers or the dogs running by.
That's one of the coolest guilty pleasures I've heard yet. I really like that one.
Oh my God, I love Dawson's laugh. I love it.
We just have a good time. So let's jump into this topic of tapping, because I know a lot of listeners out there are really fascinated. And I would love for you to explain in a much better way than I tried to, what exactly is tapping and why is it so effective?
Yeah, tapping has really caught on in the last few years. We estimate there are over 20 million people all over the world, China, India, Japan, Korea, Australia, England, all over the place who use tapping. And so it's really caught on, and it's caught on because it's really effective. It reduces anxiety, depression, it reduces stress generally. And all it is it's the use of acupressure. And so for centuries, Oriental medicine has used acupuncture needles to stimulate these acupuncture points. So these are measurable points. I can use a device called a galvanometer, which I use in all my live workshops to show people exactly where these acupuncture points are. We can measure them with scientific instruments. So we know these points are real. They have all kinds of interesting properties. And so with EFT, we don't use needles. We use pressure, fingertip pressure or tapping on those points. And when you think about a bad thing, when you think about being hurt as a child or bullied or things you didn't get that you wanted or disappointments or losses or grief, or work on adult issues, which may be very recent, like we've worked with now, we worked with over 20,000 veterans with PTSD and done tapping with them. And we've done 8 randomized controlled trials. And they show that people recover permanently from flashbacks, nightmares, intrusive thoughts, hypervigilance, all other kinds of symptoms of PTSD. So when you think about the bad thing and you apply acupressure, you produce this calming sensation in your body. So now rather than that veteran thinking about the bomb blast or that person who was abused thinking about the bullying when they were 5 years old and going into fight or flight, when you use acupressure in conjunction with thinking about that, it tells the emotional part of the brain that you're safe. And in various studies done using MRIs at Harvard University, they've shown that when you stimulate acupuncture points while you are thinking about a fearful memory, that the whole fear part of the brain, it's called the limbic system, the middle part of the brain, the whole emotional brain simply turns off. So all that fear response, that fight and flight response that you normally have in conjunction with the memory just gets turned off when you, at the same time, when you apply acupuncture to that memory or distress.
So I'm fascinated with the use of tapping for PTSD and other really highly traumatic situations. But what I'm curious is this something you can work with people on a one-time, or do they come back again and again for a series of tapping sessions to really nail this issue?
For simple issues, like the very first time I learned to tap, I was in a kind of crisis around 2002. I had a big issue in my life. I tapped and it went away immediately. That happens sometimes. Other times you need a series of tapping sessions, or you need to work with a practitioner. So you can do it yourself. It's often effective. But if people are dealing with long-term issues, and those issues include things like self-sabotage or persistent problems in your love relationships or weight loss. Weight loss is one in which I think people are rarely successful on their own. They need support, they need structure, they need expert guidance on how to use it for weight loss. But research shows, for example, that people who use EFT don't just lose weight when they're doing an EFT course, that in the year after they finish EFT, they don't regain the weight and they keep on dropping weight at an average in various studies of 1 to 2 pounds a month. So EFT is really effective long-term, but for those persistent issues like self-sabotage or weight loss or relationship issues or money worries, it does pay to work with a practitioner.
So simply because the languaging and they know where to guide you through on the journey?
It's like any other kind of skill. You need an attorney, you need a realtor. It's really helpful to have someone who knows the territory and can get you there quickly rather than stumbling around in the dark yourself trying to figure out how to be your attorney or how to be your best life coach or how to be your therapist. Just go to somebody who knows how to do that and can get you there quickly. So it's much more efficient for long-term situations, long-term life problems. You go to a practitioner or and we train thousands of certified practitioners every year. And so it's powerful to work with those people. But for average things like, the first time I tapped, I sat there on the steps of my office, I tapped, and my level of psychological distress just went away. It went from a high number, use a 0 to 10 scale to actually determine how successful we're being with tapping. And I went from a high number down to a 0 in just a few minutes. So, of course, for many things, phobias, for example, the research shows that people will have a phobia of water or driving or mice or rats or bats or snakes, whatever it might be, that on average, it only takes one session of tapping, and often tapping by yourself is successful. But again, if you have this pattern of binge eating, if you have a pattern of relationship self-sabotage, acting out the same way in relationship after relationship, if you have a way of being dysfunctional around money that you've had for 30 or 40 years, it's unlikely you're going to be able to reverse that in just, a 10-minute self-tapping session.
So I'm sure, many people out there are intrigued. Like, let's just take weight loss, for example, which is huge on so many people's minds. What kind of languaging would you be doing with the tapping to help somebody who's trying to lose weight?
That's a good question, Lisa. And paradoxically, EFT doesn't guide you to do any positive thinking. In fact, I was tapping with one of my board members in our nonprofit, and I was tapping with his wife on, she has some weight issues, and she had a craving for Reese's peanut butter cups. And so she was just addicted to these things. She loved this one kind of treat. And when he was watching me tap with her and tap with other people in a big group, he said, Dawson, I've heard you tapping now with people for 2 hours, and all you're doing is having them dredge up all of their childhood disappointments and all of their hurts and all of their emotional wounds. And where's the positive stuff in here? And the answer was, there isn't any. And so EFT, the paradox is that we really plumb the depths of all the wounds we never healed. So when you were 2 and 3 and 5, you were disappointed because you didn't get the attention you wanted, you didn't have the friends that liked you perhaps, or your parents punished you. You have all these losses and wounds from early childhood. With EFT, we focus relentlessly on the bad stuff. Now, the paradox there is when you use the language you're using is ultimately focused on the disappointments, the hurts, the wounds of your life, but you're applying acupressure at the same time. So now you're remembering these things, you're lighting up that emotional midbrain with those traumatic memories, and you're then applying the acupuncture point tapping, which then quietens down that stress response. Now suddenly, your brain no longer associates remembering being bullied at the age of 5 with going into fight or flight. It breaks the association. This is called counter-conditioning in psychology. And it's powerful because we show that when those people come back to us 6 months or a year later and we test them, they no longer have those emotional responses. So we use language that focuses on the negative over and over and over again. And the paradox is that when you plumb the depths and clean out all that basement of old hurts and wounds, suddenly people just pop up into the sunlight and say, oh my goodness, I feel so much better now. And they then start to frame their lives in a positive way. Even people who have been dreadfully hurt. I mean, I've heard people who've been raped or people who've been wounded or had bomb blasts or been bitterly betrayed, all these things. I mean, one therapist I worked with at a recent live workshop, she'd had childhood abuse from the time she was 2 to the time she was 17. She'd been sexually abused. Horrible, horrible abuse. And at the end of this moving session, the whole room was in tears. She said, nothing that man did could take my joy away. Now, that's a positive explanation and a positive frame for the most horrible abuse imaginable. And I love those breakthroughs that people have because you then work with them on all the bad stuff, using all the language to focus on the abuse. And suddenly this huge positive reframe arises within her own psyche. And she says, nothing that man did could stifle my joy or make me not be a happy person. I'm a happy person today. So the bad stuff will happen. But now she has what we call in psychology a positive explanatory framework for the negative stuff in her life, and that's powerful.
Yeah, that is powerful. Dawson, I have a question for you. This is Andrea. So I'm assuming that when they're bringing up all this negative stuff, they can't be in an environment that is unsafe? In the house, for example, where they were raped, would they have to do the tapping in a different environment?
For serious abuse, yes, I would recommend getting yourself completely away from all the things that trigger those cues, the environmental cues, the people, the sights, the sounds, the smells that trigger it. Get yourself out of there and make yourself, heal yourself in another environment. But then with EFT, we often have people go back. They go back to that house. They go back to see that uncle at Christmas or Thanksgiving. They do something to really confront themselves. With EFT, we can ask people confrontive questions at the end of the session. We say, imagine he's right here in the room with you right now. And they'll say something like, if he was here right now, I would slap his face. I would tell him what I think of him. I would chew him out. They become empowered. One woman whose dad never told her he loved her. I had her in a live workshop, and she was, at the end of the session, she was telling her dad, why didn't you ever tell me you love me? She was completing this conversation with her dad who had died a few years before. So really working on those things. And then she might want to then go back to a family gathering or look at a photograph of her dad and test those results with EFT. We usually find the changes are permanent. And even when people are confronted with those same triggers and cues, they no longer go into that fight or flight stress state.
Dawson, I'm just fascinated with your site, EFT Universe. Can you tell everybody about it and what type of resources you have on there for them, for free videos and everything else?
Yeah, EFT Universe is it's a massive site. It has over 5,000 pages and hundreds of videos. And these are all stories written by the people. So people write into us and say, you won't believe what happened. I was at this fear of public speaking and I did some tapping and it's totally gone. Now I'm presenting it at the Rotary Club at Toastmasters. So all these stories are on EFT Universe, over 5,000 stories like that. Also, there are resources like the videos, also our list of certified practitioners. And if you're going to a practitioner, it's important you work with somebody who's properly trained. There are also online resources like online courses for weight loss, for relationship skills, for sports performance. There are many, many books on EFT as well. Some of them I've written, others written by other experts. And that site, EFT Universe, is just a wealth of information. We have tens of thousands of visitors every month because people just find it and go there and use all of those free resources.
Well, you have been a wealth of information, and we can't thank you enough for joining us today on the show.
Well, I so admire the liveliness and great energy you bring to it. So thanks for sharing that with everyone.
Thank you so much. It has been such a treat. When we get back from the break, we will be joined by superstar psychology of eating coach and my good friend, Nina Manelson. Stay tuned.
Thanks, Dawson.
Thank you, Dawson.
Is he still on?
Maybe he dropped off.
Yeah. Oh, he was a cutie pie. Oh my God.
Kidding. Here we have Nina.
Hi, Nina.
Video.
Hi, Nina. I'm going to be interviewing you in the next segment, and we're going to go about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to wrap you up, and you can tell everybody where to find you.
Okay, sounds wonderful. Lovely to see all these beautiful faces.
So good to see you. You're so bright and cheery and like so calm. Where are you?
I'm in my office.
Oh.
I like the little painting in the background.
Yeah, it's a Chinese screen. It's
Very
just,
nice.
I know, it makes me feel good. And Andrea, I figured you would appreciate all the stones.
Oh yeah, sugar. I'm checking out your scene over there.
I know.
Is that amethyst and a rose quartz?
So I've got rhodochrosite, and all those are rose quartz from Madagascar, and I can't remember where the other one's from. But I knew I put this one on just for you. I was like, oh, I better put a rock on because Andrea's going to be there, and it's her thing.
Well, really?
All right, here we go.
Okay.
BlackBerry or Android at the Apple iTunes App Store, BlackBerry App World, or Android Market.
You're listening to Andrea Beeman, Lisa Lutan, and Michelle Fennighaus with Healthy View Radio. Do you have a question or comment for the show? Please call us right now at 1-866-472-5792. That's 1-866-472-5792. Or send us an email from our Voice America radio page. You'll find connections to reach any of the hosts there. Now, back to Healthy View Radio.
Welcome back to Healthy View Radio with me, Andrea Beeman, and my tappity tap 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 co-host Lisa Lutan, and the tapless but still very lovable Michelle Fennighaus.
Tapless.
It sounds like topless.
Sounds like topless.
In this section of the show, it's time to introduce you to new, exciting, up-and-coming talent in the health and wellness field. And actually, this one isn't new. She's been around for quite a while. We have Nina Manelson. She helps women over 40 and end their war with food and make peace with their body. She works with savvy women who already know exactly what they should be doing to feel good in their own skin, but still struggle to feel nourished. Nina is the creator of the Body Love Map, which helps women shift from body hate and self-criticism into body ease, body trust, and body love. She's a psychology of eating and nationally board certified holistic health coach with 25 years of experience helping women create a trusting, caring, and compassionate relationship with their body. Nina is also the founder of the Nourished Woman Nation. So welcome to the show, Nina. We're very excited to have you here with us.
Andrea, I am thrilled to be with you and all these amazing, strong, fabulous women. It's my favorite place to be is with amazing, strong, fabulous women.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Have you been listening to the show? Did you hear about the tapping?
I did. Fascinating. I've been tracking tapping for many, many, many years. And it resonates with me in terms of really working with women's nervous systems, because when women are struggling with their body, they're often also struggling with their nervous system at the same time, because they're managing their nervous system with food. And so they're wondering, why am I at war with food when they're using food actually to kind of manage how they're feeling?
Oh, that's great. I like the way that you put that. So let me ask you this, because you're in this business for a long time. What initially drew you to this type of work in the first place?
Well, this is my story. My story is struggle with food and body. So what do? Is I help women with food and body, because I really, when I was in it, thought that there was no way out. I really thought I was stuck in the model of I hate my body and then I try to manage my body with a diet. Oh, can't manage it anymore. Can't hold the willpower. Can't keep it up. Oh, now I failed and now I'm back to hate. And I was caught in that loop literally for decades of trying to fix my body, trying to make it different than it was, and then failing and wondering what was wrong. And I took a journey through working with women around their bodies, psychology, nutrition, psychology of eating. All of those paths took me to really working with women on a very deep level around their relationship with their body. Instead of being in a place of like, I'm going to fix you, that thing over there, I'm going to really be in relationship and in a place of connection and respect and trust.
Oh, that's great. So let me ask you this. Like, I know that on your website, I was looking around and there's this psychology and mindset patterns that keep women stuck. Can you give us or share with us some of those patterns that keep women stuck?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big patterns is there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me and I am faulty and I'm just not strong enough and I can't do this right. So that's one big one, because right away it leaves us in this place of like, I can't be with this person, right? Like, even if you think about a relationship with somebody else, if you're with them with the attitude there's something wrong with you, it's really hard to be in a respectful, responsive, trusting, caring, listening relationship. So that's one piece. The other piece is I got to do this all by myself. I have so much information coming at me from all these. I'm going to read just the right book, and I'm going to get this relationship with my body. I'm going to fix it all by myself. And the reality is women need support. We do well connected. Like, look at the three of you. You've created this incredible dynamic experience because of the connection. And women, we do well with support, with connection. And so women are like completely in this place of isolation. I'm the only one binging. I'm the only one late at night in my fridge snacking. I'm the only one who's carrying, secret candy in my pocket or tucked away that my kids don't know about. That's not true. And we need to be in community of women to understand that we're not isolated here.
So I noticed that you have, the rose quartz, and you have a lot of love stones around you. Did your shift happen when you started to love yourself a little bit more?
So self-love is a huge piece. It's a really big piece, but it starts to become, and I've created a whole body love map, a body love continuum. It starts to be this holy grail of I'm going to love myself, right? I hate myself over here on this side, but I'm going to love myself. And let me tell you, I love many people who do affirmations and all. I would look in the mirror and I love myself. And it was like there was a critical voice inside of me mocking. It didn't fly at all. And I realized that we actually have to work towards love in a slower way, that idea of I'm going to just love myself can be too far for some women when they're in that place of body dissatisfaction, and that there's a slow actual pathway there to move. We have to move towards a place of awareness. Where are we now? Getting current with what's going on. And we then need to move to a place of ease. Like, okay, I may not love everything I see in the mirror. Not every piece of clothes may fit just the way I want it to, but you know what? This is me. Then we get to that place of acceptance. And when we're there, we grow nourishing practices. And then sort of without it being a big, like, I'm going to push myself to love myself, we suddenly experience it sometimes. Like, wow, I'm rocking this. I'm feeling good in my own skin. I'm at ease. I walk into a room without feeling self-conscious about what I think of my body or worrying about what other people think about their bodies. It's a gradual process, and our culture really wants it to be a quick fix. It's not. It's a relationship. It takes time and attention and love.
Nina, I have a question for you. So how do you balance the idea of self-love and acceptance with honest to God needs of changing stuff, so nutrition patterns or changing eating patterns or needing to lose weight for medical reasons? Like, where's the balance there?
So I think that we have to start from a place of saying, you know what? Where I am, I'm going to be here without judgment. Because there's a concept that I've coined called body current. If we can't be body current, this is what's going on in this body now, and be with it, it's really hard to then change. Okay, I want to live into that future body, and I want that past body that I had in college. We have to be in the now, and then what are the needs now? Okay, from this now body that maybe is feeling tired, maybe is feeling body dissatisfaction, this body now needs a little more support. Okay, so what could that look like? What would feel like an easy next step? Maybe it's more blood sugar balancing. Maybe I need to do some gentle nutrition around adding more healthy fats and protein. But if we can come from a place of what does this body need, instead of what should I do to get that body in the future, or should I do to get that body that I had in the past, it comes from more of a centered place that's much more sustainable, where we're less likely to trip ourselves up. I did it wrong. I'm never going to get there. I'm not going to fit into that dress for that wedding. And boom, I'm back in body hate and body dissatisfaction.
Yeah, it's interesting when so many women, and I don't know where it comes from, but I had it too, was a hate for the body. Like, oh, it's not perfect. It doesn't look good. They're cellulite, it's wrinkled, whatever it is. And when I have my clients now today and they tell me, they hate their body, I tell them to take the body part that they hate the most, and when they're in the shower, to scrub it and give it love. Like if it's their belly, I tell them to put their hands on their belly when they're in the shower and really connect with their belly for what it does for them, not what it hasn't been doing for them. It helps them digest food. It gives them nourishment. Or their thighs, right? They hate their thighs. Like, these thighs are horrible. And I'm like, okay, your thighs help you get up the stairs, right? You can walk down the street. And it takes time. It's never one little time that they connect with their body. It's over and over and over and over again. So how do you know where to start with your people?
Yeah. So the quick answer is start where they are. Right? If they're stuck in body dissatisfaction and body hate, then how do we bring more compassion? Right? If they're caught in that body management diet, how do we release the grip and the war with food? Is how do we start to introduce foods that are pleasurable and enjoyable that still make them feel good? Is starting exactly where the next piece is. There's a client that I have that I was talking with, and she was like, she got to the first call with me and she was like, you know what? I realize I never eat without guilt. Let's start there. That's juicy. What can we do to sit there and actually allow you to enjoy your food? So everybody is different. There's no cookie cutter. That's why we need the support, is to meet us where we are, because like any relationship, it's had its history, right? We've had our wounds that have made us disconnected or not be able to talk nicely to ourselves. So then we have to find those places.
Well, I have another question for you, and then I got to, tell people where to find you and all that stuff. I know this is a really big question. We should probably have an entire episode on it alone. Where did the initial hate for the female body come from?
Okay, here's the short answer: patriarchy.
Mm.
It's a whole external world that tells us what we should look like, what size we should be, what's acceptable, what makes us good women, what makes us powerful women, what makes us beautiful women. That definition started to come from outside of women, from the industries of fashion, from the industries of weight loss, from the idealized view of what sexy was. All of that hatred came from outside of us. And that is actually a very powerful question, Andrea, because so often when women are doing this deep work, they're going, what's wrong with me? We have to, in this work of food and body, zoom out and go, it's not just about me. It's also the cultural messages that I have inhaled and digested whole and believe completely, and they are not true.
Well, I think that any woman who connects with you is going to learn a wealth of knowledge on how to love herself. So can you please tell our listeners and our viewers where they can get in contact with you and learn more about what you're up to?
Absolutely. In fact, I made a special page on my website specially for your viewers, and it's ninamanelson.com/healthyview, all one word. And there's 2 free special lovely offers there. One is an ebook, How to Be a Woman at Ease in Your Body, and the other one is a free 5-day intuitive eating intensive that's starting in just a couple of weeks. And they're both nice ways to walk in towards that relationship with your body so that you're not constantly in the war, in the struggle, in the battle.
Oh, that's great. So we're going to put that link into the show notes so people can connect with that for sure, because they love gifts, they love learning great stuff, and they're going to love you, I'm sure.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really important to have these conversations and to zoom out into how do we really be in a place where we can start caring for ourselves from the inside out.
Thanks so much, Nina. Okay, so Nina's going to hang on. And Michelle, what's your big takeaway from today? Or Lisa, whoever wants to go first?
Well, I mean, it was just happened. So it feels like, but also I got like goosebumps when Nina's like, it's not just me. It's not just one of us who's having these problems individually. It is a cultural problem. It is a cultural problem. So women hate ourselves. We hate ourselves. And I think that we should do a whole episode around that. And that's why I go out with my sweatpants and no makeup and make everybody look at me when I'm not looking pretty. That's my stance on changing that one little bit at a time.
Yeah, I'm going to highly recommend that film Embrace, with Taryn Brumfitt. We're supposed to have her on the show until we realized it was middle of the night of Australia time. But it's a great film, and it gets into all this. And also, Nina's such a pro, so go visit Nina. But I'm going to start tapping on it. So I'm going to start tapping on loving my body in a whole new way. And if anybody wants to join me, you know where to find me.
Tap, 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 tap.
Yeah, I loved having Dawson on and Nina together. I mean, we put these two together, the tapping and the love. My gosh, there's going to be explosions of love happening all over the place, right? So I want to thank our guests for showing up today and bringing their awesome knowledge to the table. And before we go, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Giovanni Cosmetics, for their awesome Eco Chic hair products. If you want gorgeous hair at a great discount, you can get a $2 coupon when you go to giovannicosmetics.com/HVR, and then take that coupon and head over to any Sprouts, Kroger, or Whole Foods to go get your hair care. I would also like to thank Clara for leaving us an awesome review on iTunes. She gave us 5 stars, and she said, "This is a totally great show, Healthy View Radio. The information that you all bring to the table is so needed. I truly look forward to your show weekly. I've been a follower of Andrea Beeman for about 10 years as I was seeking information about hypothyroidism. You all share loads of great healthy information that can be put into action and have great results thereafter. Thanks, ladies." No, Clara, thank you. Thank you for showing up every week and for being an awesome fan and for taking this knowledge and sharing it with the world. And for any of you that missed any part of this show, you can watch any of our recordings on YouTube. Just search for healthyviewradio.com, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
I hope. Check us out on iTunes or just meet us back here every week for another episode of your most favorite radio show on the airwaves. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
All clear.
Cool.
Thanks, A-Rod.